It's time for Success in Real Estate with Frankie Griffin, owner and broker in charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin. Thank you for joining us this morning, where I want to lead off with, I guess you would call it a vent, because I got an issue with the Richland County, and really just sort of curious to see what you may think about this also. But if you have any questions or comments, our number here in studio is 799-8255, again 799-8255, or talk if you can remember that. But I've got a little bit of an issue with some things that Richland County is doing, at least in terms of public records or the availability of public records. Because, you know, in real estate, there are some things we have to look up about real estate, property, and, you know, deeds, property cards, potential easements, all kinds of things that we have to be aware of before we can help buy and or sell a home. And all this information, it's public information, but now Richland County has decided to charge a fee for accessing public records. And I don't really understand that. You know, we pay taxes. I kind of thought the taxes would take care of all that. But if it's public record, so if it's available to the public, it's public information, why do I have to pay another fee to look at it? And I'm talking about online. So when you go to their website to try to pull up these various documents, the first thing you're going to find is you've got to create a login, and then they give you a menu of all the fees depending on what you want to do and how often you want to do it. But for example, you can pay, I think it's $2.50, and you get to look at any records you want for one day. And if you forgot to print something out that day and you go back tomorrow, you got to pay another $2.50. But that really just sort of gets on my nerves a little bit, and Lexington County doesn't do that. I certainly can't speak for other counties, but just curious, I'd love to hear what you think about that, or if you were even aware of it. I will say also they do have a special where you could pay one flat fee and get the full year. I guess a subscription. It's like $156 for the year, and then you can go in there and look at at public information that they're supposed to be holding for us to look at anyway. So anyway, just thought I'd vent over that a little bit, and I feel a little bit better. And really, I don't. That really ticks me off. It really does. And people that keep talking, or I keep talking to them about it, say, Frankie, it's $2.50. I said, yeah. It's $2.50. That's 2 or 3 cups of coffee right there that I could have saved. But anyway, let's move on. I want to address an email that I got this week. And by the way, I have been getting a lot of emails, and I want to thank you for that. Also, notice we do receive phone calls, even though a lot of people do not or prefer not to talk about their issues and things they're wanting to get into on the radio, and I can understand that. But anyway, thank you for the interest in the show and the questions you're sending, either through email or in a lot of cases Facebook. But this particular email, there was a listener that was asking if there was a difference between real estate agents and realtors. And this is something we've actually talked about in the past. But you hear both terms sort of thrown around a lot. Sometimes you hear some refer to themselves as real estate agents. Sometimes you hear them call themselves realtors. And is there really any difference between the two, or is it just different terms that mean the same thing? Well, no, they are very different things. And I guess in a nutshell, without getting too involved here, both real estate agents and realtors, when they're practicing real estate, must comply with licensed law. That's Title 40 of South Carolina Code of Laws. But everybody must comply with those laws. But realtors are held to a little bit different, and in my opinion, are held to a much higher standard of practice in that not only do they have to comply with the license laws, but we also have to comply with a national code of ethics. And boy, we could spend a lot of time talking about the code of ethics itself, but I don't want to get into that today. But there's your big difference right there. To become a realtor or to be a realtor, you must join the National Association of Realtors. And when you join the Association of Realtors, you're going to sign some paperwork, a contract, if you will, where basically it says you agree to be held accountable to a national code of ethics. And if you are found to be in violation of an ethics let me try that again. If you're found to be in violation of the code of ethics, then they can bring very significant charges against you. There are significant fines. You can be disbarred or put out of the Association of Realtors, and in many cases, in fact, in most cases, they can also expel you from the MLS. And again, we're not talking about you doing anything illegal. We're talking about, doing things that would be considered unethical or a violation of our code of ethics. Now, with that said, I do want to make sure everybody understands what I just said, and I don't want to hear after the show or during emails, because I just got a buzz on my phone where I guess somebody just sent me something. But I am not saying at all that if you are a real estate agent, you are unethical. I did not say that, and I'm not trying to say that. Nor am I saying if you're a realtor, you're ethical. I'm not saying that at all. I just merely pointing out the difference in that real estate agents must comply with licensed law. That's the only legal accountability, if you will, that they are subjected to. But realtors not only have to comply with the license law, but also a code of ethics. And now we all know there are times when people have done things either to us or to people we know where we think, what that person did, it may not be illegal, but it was still wrong. It was just wrong. Well, there's the difference between law and ethics right there. That's the difference. Love to hear from you if you have any comments or questions. Again, the number in studio is 799-8255, 799-8255, or talk. And Erica West would normally be joining us right now, but did get a text from her during the break. She's got something that has come up with a client and a closing today, and so she had to deal with that, and so we certainly can't fault her there. But I will just tell you some of the things that she wanted to talk about, and I can't really get into it in a whole lot of detail just because I'm not nearly as knowledgeable about it as she is, but at least give you something to think about if you may be in this situation. But we've got, or at least I get a lot of people call me up wanting to know how they can help a tenant that they may have, maybe renting a property of theirs, actually help the tenant purchase the property when in most cases the tenant may not be able to qualify for a loan outright. And there are some options out there. And I would encourage you to talk to Erica if this is something that you may have an interest in. But just for example, and I was talking to her yesterday about this, but if you've got a tenant renting a house and they wanted to buy the house, you could actually have it set up where basically you're doing like a lease purchase, or the tenant is actually purchasing the property from the owner. Now, it has to be a valid purchase, okay, to do what I'm about to describe to you. But if the tenant under this lease purchase will make 12 payments, 12 consecutive payments on time, and they have to be documented, so you have to be able to show that all 12 payments were made on time, then now the tenant can actually go in and apply for a refinance, which is much different criteria than applying for a new loan. So this helps tenants and the property owner out an awful lot. And she gave me several other scenarios and things to look at. In fact, a couple programs she talked about where it may not even require 12 months of payments. In some cases, might only require 6 months of payments. But it can be done, and this is something that could be very helpful for tenants and property owners. But I encourage you to just give Erica a call if you have any questions about this or would like for her to follow up with you some more. Her number is 803-528-5019. Again, 528-5019, Erica West. And if you couldn't write that information down, as always, just go to my website, frankiegriffin.com. You'll see on the side, on the right-hand side of the page, there's a link called Real Estate Partners. If you click there, you'll go to all of our real estate partners. Imagine that. And Erica West is one of our partners, and all her information or contact information will be right there. But she just does such an incredible job. In fact, I got a client, I was bugging her right before the show this morning. Got a client looking to buy a house using VA financing, and the lender that this particular client was dealing with has come back with a pre-approval, not what they were wanting or what they feel like they can afford. So obviously, Miss Erica is going to come to the rescue and get things fixed right. And the other thing, nice thing about Erica is she's right here local. She's in town, and I'm just going to tell you, if I would think long and hard, buyers, about choosing a lender that's not local. When things start going wrong or if they start going south, I promise you, you're going to wish you had a lender that you could reach out and touch. Because if they're long distance or they're in California or New York or wherever they may be, you're just going to have a hard time getting in touch with them to get things fixed so that we can go ahead and close on time. So Erica does a great job. Again, Erica West, her phone number one more time is 528-5019. Okay, then I'd like to spend the rest of this segment talking about what I call showing protocol, home showing protocol. And this is something that I've actually talked on or talked about previously also, but I actually had a client. I was listing a house earlier this week. I think it was Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, and my client brought this to my attention, so I wanted to go ahead and share it with you as listeners and potential buyers, and for those of you that are licensed real estate agents out there. It is very unprofessional, in my opinion, to just show up to someone else's home unannounced and wanting to show your house, wanting to either preview the house or show this house to your clients. I just think that's wrong, and in most cases there are showing instructions in the MLS, and buyer agents, you got to pay attention to this kind of stuff. For example, this particular client of mine was very adamant that anybody showing the house would have to have an appointment, and there's a reason for it. She does have a dog. Now, it's a very small dog, and you wouldn't think anything of it as small as this dog is. But she referred to him as a biter. He can inflict some damage if it's somebody that this dog does not know or not familiar with. And agents, you can't just go into somebody's house unaware and put you and or your clients in danger like that. So they would obviously be able to put the dog away or put him in this little cage, I guess, to protect you and your clients before you get there. So anyway, you got to pay attention to what the showing instructions are and make sure you do just that. If they require an appointment, then you got to make an appointment. And I think where a lot of the issues come in is when the buyer and their agent are out in the car riding around looking at houses, and they happen to pass a house for sale which was not on their original list to stop and look at. And a buyer said, that really looked nice. Can we go look at that? I said, if we're right here, can we go look at it? Well, buyer, the simple and short answer is no. We can't. We have not. I don't know. Well, first of all, I don't have the information on that house. Now, I can access the MLS, and we can look it up, I suppose. But I will just tell you, first of all, don't just stop and knock on the door and say, look, we just happen to be in the area. Would you mind if we look at your house? That is very unprofessional, and people don't like this. It might be a house that you're looking at, but this is somebody else's home, and we have to be very respectful when we are approaching and wanting to enter another person's home. So just please be careful, be professional about wanting to look at houses. And buyers, and I'm talking to you as much as I am to real estate agents, if it was not a house that you were prepared to see, there's a good chance you will not see it at that time. We may have to get back to the office and do some things, make some phone calls to get it on the list, and then we'll go take a look at it. Another thing I did want to just point out, I think we got about a minute or two left in this segment, but I wanted to thank my buddy Paul Prince. Paul Prince owns Door to Door Floors. He is a flooring expert, and this past week installed new carpet in my home, which I am very, very pleased. It looks good. It smells good. My wife's been out of town all week, and she has no idea I've done this. So can't wait to see exactly what her reaction is going to be. I think she'll like the carpet. She may be a little bit upset because I have no idea where anything is in the house. Nothing. I have no idea. I just I just had to stuff everything in closets, and so there you go. But anyhow, looks great. If you are in the need for new flooring, give Erica West a call. Erica West. Still got Erica on Paul Prince with Door to Door Floors. Again, go to my website, frankiegriffin.com. Click on Real Estate Partners, and you'll see all this information right there.
Now, the Real Estate Horror Story with Andy on Success in Real Estate.
All right, good morning and welcome back to Success in Real Estate. It is time for our horrifying Andy on. If you have any questions for our real estate attorney or just attorney in general, give us a call. The number in studio is 799-8255. Again, 799-8255. And good morning, Andy. How are we doing today?
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Oh, this is such a fine day today.
It is a fine day, and we got some good rain this week, which we needed.
Yes.
And my grass was very appreciative.
Yeah, I bet so. Absolutely.
Things are starting to kick up in the real estate business. I'm telling you, these the last couple of months have been really busy. So I think it's going to be, if that's any indication, it's going to be a great selling and buying season this summer. And I was fortunate enough to actually had a few presentations this week, before some different real estate companies, and we're actually doing some corporate training over at Russell and Jeffcoat today. But was fortunate to be with a lender yesterday who told me that rates are actually dropping. Believe it or not, I don't know. I don't know whether Erica's called in already or not, because I hadn't been able to listen to the show this morning. But rates are actually dropping, Frankie. So that's a good thing.
That is good.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to talk to our students this past week by chance?
I sure did. We had a great class. We had Frankie, that class. We must have had 35 or 40 people in that class. That was a huge class.
Yeah, very nice.
It was a really good class and very attentive. And I've actually heard from a few of them. And actually, one of your newly graduated students, Crystal, who went on with ERA out in Mike Taylor's office. Showed up to a seminar we had yesterday on home warranties, which was a really good seminar. So she seems to be doing well. But I wanted to talk a little bit today, and I know that I've touched on this before, but I think it's important to mention this, is property disclosure statements and the importance of going through these disclosure statements with your selling clients. And I'm speaking in terms of not only the real estate agent, but the seller in general. Okay, because there are a lot of sellers that I think go through the property disclosure statement as a formality, and they're not really disclosing. They're not really thinking through the process the way they need to, and it creates issues. And one of the issues that I think we've run into in the past is square footage issues, and the kinds of issues relating to square footage, or whether a particular area is considered to be usable space and heated and aired space.
Right.
And it can, when I'm talking in terms of property disclosure, I'm talking in terms of all the disclosures, not just the property disclosure statement, but what they're disclosing on the MLS and what they believe their square footage is.
The material
One
facts.
of the things that real estate agents, I've talked to many real estate agents, and I know that real estate agents oftentimes will measure the home for square footage. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with a real estate agent measuring the home for square footage. But quite honestly, a real estate agent is not certified or licensed as an appraiser, and an appraiser is really the only person that should be measuring for, in any reliable sense, square footage. Okay. So in other words, when you're looking at the MLS statement, okay, when you're looking at the MLS statement online and looking at what a particular property has as far as square footage, you need to know that square footage amount is a very good estimate and a very good and has a very good basis for that estimate. And a real estate agent's estimate, in my opinion, is not reliable, and a tax record is not reliable. So for sellers that are selling their property, my recommendation is to have an appraiser come out and do a pre-listing measurement of the home. They typically run anywhere from about $75 to $100, and I know that you guys that offer classes for appraisals as well. Todd Feaster is one of your educators over there at your school, Frankie. And typically this is the best way to make sure that you get the most accurate number in that public representation on square footage that you can get, because we're in a mindset in this area, and really in most areas in South Carolina, we're in a mindset of what'd you get that house for per square foot. Everything is driven by square footage, how much you pay per square foot on that home. So square footage has an awful lot of impact on the overall property disclosure made by the seller and the agent, and how accurate it is, how reliable it is. I will tell you one of there is a case in South Carolina called Schnellman versus Rodiger that actually went to the South Carolina Supreme Court relating to square footage. And it dealt with a representation that was made about square footage that was about 300 feet less than what the actual square footage was. Now, in that particular case, the clients who bought the property went ahead and bought the property, even with that issue there. So it weakened their argument as to square footage an awful lot, and basically took that argument away from them in a lot of different ways. Now, the case dealt with a lot of different issues, dealt with how to calculate damages and this kind of thing as well. But that was the issue. So it is an issue that has come up in the past and has actually been taken up to the South Carolina Supreme Court. So it's so important that when you're looking at square footage, because on our MLS disclosure forms that most real estate professionals have access to, and this is what they're giving to their clients when they're talking about different properties to look at, they're relying on that information, and they have a justifiable basis to rely on that information. So it's very difficult, to really put a square footage amount in there that you know was going to be reliable unless it was done by somebody who is licensed and certified to measure homes for that purpose, for valuation purpose, because that's the reason why it's being measured. Everything is price per square foot. How much you get that price per square foot? And that can be a real problem.
Sure.
So my recommendation is you deal with the before math so you don't deal with the aftermath, right?
That's
you
right.
Pay the $7,500 up front as a cost of selling that home, and get the appraiser to do a square footage measurement. Therefore, you got somebody licensed and insured that's going to, that you can bank on, so that if something goes wrong, you can say, hey, I had an appraiser go out and measure this. This is his report on the measurements. So if you got any issues with it, here it is. But if y'all are saying this is less square footage than what we have, y'all need to get into an argument with my expert. And, you take away some of those discount points that buyers' reps may be able to use if they're able to show that a particular area is not usable heated square footage,
sure.
This kind of thing, okay?
And let me ask you this, and we've got about a minute and a half or so left, but how does that play into, and that's interesting what you're talking about today, and I'm glad you brought this up, but the real estate commission or the state one of the mandated courses real estate agents have to take is measuring square footage.
Right.
So if the state's requiring real estate agents to understand how to measure heated square footage, how does that play into what you were just talking about?
Well, I think there are all sorts of state requirements that are part of the overall curriculum of getting a license. I mean, they also teach you about contracts, and they also have part of the curriculum in your course is understanding mediation process and understanding arbitration, but it doesn't mean that you're a licensed attorney.
Sure.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, my first question to you on cross-examination of an issue relating to square footage is going to be, now, Mr. Griffin, how long have you been licensed as an appraiser in South Carolina? Now, for you, I think you are licensed as an appraiser,
I am.
But most real estate agents aren't, and they're going to say, well, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And then the testimony goes downhill from there.
Well,
because at the end of the day, it's one of those things where you have to be certified to be able to do what you need to do in this in this area.
Well, Andy, we got about 10 seconds. So what's your phone number? We can get in touch with you.
744-0824. Look forward to talking with you next week.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Andy. Have a great weekend.
Right, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Here's Frankie Griffin with your weekly featured property.
And I do have a featured property that I just want to touch on real quick, and then I want to go to our phone lines. But and if you have a question or comment, the number is 799-8255, 799-8255. But we've got a property that's actually going on the market today, shortly after me going off the air, as a matter of fact. But it's a very, very nice house. It's in Arcadia Lakes, which is over on the Fort Jackson side of town. Very nice subdivision to live in, very large subdivision. It's right at 1,500 square feet, maybe a little bit less. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, hardwood floors throughout. Very nice. Interior paint, it just looks awesome. It's a beautiful home. The front yard is landscaped and has roses and flower beds. And I mean, I think it's a very, very pretty home, and all for $145,000. And I think you'd really, so if you're in the market to buy a home and you're looking over in that area of town, Arcadia Lakes, for about $145,000, you're going to be hard pressed to find a better house than this one. It is very, very nice. And if you would like to see it or have any more questions about it, I should have it on my website, frankiegriffin.com. If not today, certainly by tomorrow. Or you can just give me a call. In fact, I'll go ahead and give you my cell phone. My cell phone is 315-7303. Again, 315-7303, and I'd love to answer any questions you've got about it. Well, right now, let's go to our phone lines, where on the line we've got Frank. How you doing, Frank?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, this is such a fine day today, and I like your name, Frank.
Yeah, I like yours too. Give me your number again.
My number is 315-7303.
Okay. Because you mentioned something about this house, right, just now?
Yeah.
Okay, because I stay on down Decker on 2 nights, not far from it.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're right around the corner there.
Yeah. So I'll give you a call maybe in a couple hours.
Okay.
315-7303, right?
You got it. 315-7303.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I'm a new home seeker for a new home. I'm interested in trying to get approved. What is the best situation going on for me as a new home buyer, as far as the percentages and advantages and all that I may have? My FICO score is 650.
Well, you know what? That's I think Erica West can work with that. She does she is just awesome. And you know what happens? And
I left her a message. When you was on break.
Oh, okay. Well, and she will call you back. In fact, she couldn't call in this morning because she had a client that she was trying to help get ready for a closing. So,
right. I'm trying to get a home. I have a minimum that I could put down $5,000, and if it pushed me because of the credit score, something I may can do. I'll put down $10,000.
Okay.
But I'm looking for something around about $1,200 a month. I'm looking for something like $100,000, $110,000, $20,000, and maybe they'll discount it down back to $100,000 when negotiations start. And what would be the advantage of getting a FDA foreclosed house to build up? You know, to say, okay, they want $60,000 on this. It's going to take another $30,000 to get it fixed up. She works with all that too.
Oh yeah, and there's a FHA product that allows you to actually purchase the home, and what you're buying is a fixer-upper, and you can actually finance the work that needs to be done to the house.
Okay.
As part of it. I mean, there is a loan program for that, and
yes, there's a loan program for that. Okay, not the judicial that I would have to try to go to a bank.
Right, and you've made the first. The best step already, calling Erica, and like I said, she will call you back, and she can go through the all the different products available for you. And if you'd like to look at this house over in Arcadia Lakes, you've got my number now. Maybe a little bit later this morning, this afternoon, give me a call, and we'll work out a time. Okay.
Another thing too, one of the focus place that I was concerned with this 29223 area, and that's in my area and over in the Meadow Lake area. Now, what about houses that may be over in area where it may not be posted? Will she have a no of a listing because maybe in that particular state area they don't want to post signs for sale? Is it a database where in that particular houses may be for sale?
Well, I tell you where you can go, Frank. If you just go on my website, which is just www.frankiegriffin.com, I have it set up on my website where you can view any house for sale that's listed in the MLS, and there may or may not be a sign, like you say, in the yard, but you'll be able to see it online or find where the houses are.
Oh, okay.
In fact, you'll find on the right-hand side of my website, you can look per or by location, where you can actually click on Forest Acres or Northeast, or
That's what I need. Give it to me again. What?
www.frankiegriffin.com.
Griffin.
FrankieGriffin.com. And Frank, we're out of time, so we got to go. But give me a call if you have any more questions, okay, buddy?
Have a nice day.
All right, you too. And for everybody else out there, I hope you have a very great, safe weekend. Thank you for listening to Success in Real Estate on The Point.